What intro?
What intro?
Let's just
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Razor, what's going on, my man? How are you doing?
Vertical and ventilating, brother.
Vertical ventilating. Hooking and jabbing, as you and Mikey would always say. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't really hook and jab nearly as much anymore, but I can definitely ventilate, and hopefully we'll stay vertical for a few more years.
I think you will. I think last time I heard your voice, you were on Fox talking about Michael Moore. I think that's kind of the last time I heard your voice. So I'm glad to be chatting with you or hearing you again.
Like the film director, Michael Moore?
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
He's a real peach.
Are you guys buddies?
Oh, yeah, we go way back like Cadillac seats.
Now, so on a serious note, before we kind of get into the podcast, I got to ask, when you met Clint Eastwood on the set of American Sniper, did you shit yourself?
No.
No.
No, I did not. No, it was interesting, though, because it was, I was meeting a living legend making a movie about, a legend passing out of Chris Kyle. So yeah. It was cool, nonetheless. I mean, he was a very gracious guy, and he was everything you'd expect him to be, for sure. He was, he's a man's man, but a very nice guy.
I love the picture of you guys together. You and I were actually working together at that time, and you snuck off and did your filming or whatever. I don't remember where it was, maybe in California or something like that, and nobody knew about it until the movie came out, and you were like, yeah, when did the movie? No big deal.
Yeah, no one knew about it except for our boss, but I told her, hey, I'm going to go do this because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, so that's a problem,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so just some silliness at the beginning, but let's, you're a fantastic storyteller, and I love hearing your story. Maybe we could go back to 2004 and back to the time that you describe as kind of a bad day at the office, and start there and kind of hear that story, and then kind of get into the other stuff. I think that lays a good foundation for the other stuff we're going to be talking about with your efforts with 22 Kill and so on. So take us back to that bad day at the office, as you call it, in 2004.
Sure. Yeah, no, it definitely was. That was definitely a rough day.
Yeah.
But we were on a REACT mission in a place called Dulab, Iraq. It's located in the Sunni Triangle, also known as the Death Triangle, because like the Unicorn Triangle and the Rainbow Triangle were already taken, so they named it the Death Triangle. And I had a bad feeling about this mission, and I knew that something wasn't right. And so the morning of September 20th, the REACT got called. I woke the guys up. They had just bedded down not long before that. We had a standoff the night before with the Iraqi National Guard. And so we were all pretty smoked. And then as soon as I walked out of the tent, that bad feeling I had in my gut went right in my throat, and I knew we were going to get hit. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I didn't know by what, who was going to be involved, but I knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up taking some actions that I otherwise wouldn't have normally taken. And, I'm a third-generation Marine after my grandfather fought in Iwo, my uncle in Vietnam. And so you can call it my grandfather talking to me from the grave. You can call it, God. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It's a free country. You can have your beliefs, and I can have mine. But nevertheless, something told me to get the bomb blanket out of my commanding officer's Humvee, and I did. And because the REACT team was two vehicles, two-door soft-top Humvees. And so I approached the first vehicle and told the driver of the first vehicle to scoot over. put the bomb blanket down in the driver's seat, took the radio from the radio man, and had all the guys button up, put on their neck protectors, their Wiley X's, flak jackets, Kevlars, et cetera, and I jumped in and I punched it, and 3 minutes later, thereabout, we hit a triple stack tank mine, which was 3 155 millimeter mortar rounds stacked, which was pressure plate ignited. So as soon as the front left tire made contact with that plate, the plate went down and lights the fuse and the bomb goes off. And what that equates to in layman's terms is a big ass bomb.
It's a big ass bomb.
And so it blew up directly beneath me and ended up blowing me 30 feet to the top of the Humvee.
Jesus.
And I stuck the landing with my head like any good Marine should, because we believe in good form. And it was I knew when I was in the air that it was going to be bad. I knew it was a big explosion. And by the grace of God, though, I was the only one severely wounded. The only other injuries were minor shrapnel wounds and blown eardrums, which are, they still suck. But, I was face down on the deck, and before I even did my self-assessment, I just asked God bluntly just to not take me in front of my brothers. That's all that I was thinking about. That's all that I cared about at the time, because I knew I was hurt very, very badly. And before I even got to do a self-assessment, I knew it was bad. And I couldn't breathe, and so I was just praying to God and just literally asked him just not to take me in front of my family. That's all I cared about, and it's all that mattered to me at that moment in time. And started to do my self-assessment, which starts with checking your growing area. Believe it or not, that's the first thing you need to do. And so I did that, and the only thing that worked was my right arm. Everything else was broken or shattered, including all my ribs. But I wasn't really convinced after the first check, so I went back a second time on the growing area just to double check. And all seemed okay in that region. So, the rest was pretty much Band-Aidable. But by that time, I started to look at my body, and I couldn't see out of my right eye because my shatterproof Wiley X lens is shattered. So they're not as shatterproof as they let us on to believe. But
did you get your money back?
What's that?
Did you get your money back?
No. I should be asking if y'all got your money back. Y'all paid for them. But when I started to look at my body, my right leg hurt really badly, my right foot, but it looked normal. And so I moved on my left leg, which was mangled and wrapped around, turned the other way, saw my tibia. My left boot was blown off, and I could see and I knew that because all I could see was my sock, which was impressive to me. As soon as I saw that, I thought two things. First thing I thought was my leg's not supposed to be like that. The second thing I thought was that was as big as an explosion as I thought it was. To blow a combat boot that's fully laced and on your leg it takes a lot of power to do that. And so I knew it was an extensive explosion. And then moved up my left leg, saw more shrapnel wounds, some burns, and then on my left arm, part of my hand was hanging off. My pinky was hanging down by my left elbow. Could see daylight through my left arm. 5 inches of my ulna was blown out. And so I knew that was going to take a while to mend, if it was even mendable. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I might lose my left leg, might lose my left arm. Still hadn't taken a breath. And then I looked at my right arm, and there's minor shrapnel wounds, a couple minor burns, nothing big. But all my ribs were broken, and so that sucked. And then my ears were ringing. I couldn't hear anything. My guys got to me finally at this point, and I could barely hear what they were saying. And then by the grace of God, I got a breath, and the first thing I said was develop 360, which means set up a security cordon around the area because I didn't know if we were going to get ambushed after the fact or what.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was weird that was the first thing that flew out of my mouth, but it goes to show you that, you know, good, long, hard training comes at a very steep price, and then is also pays off because a lot of the guys are freaking out, in some sense, myself included. But they got me back up to the second Humvee, which wasn't struck and was not damaged in the explosion. First vehicle was obviously completely destroyed. And they got me back up to the command post where Doc started working on me right away. And, you know, that was a sobering experience because I pretty much was calling Doc a selfish bastard because, you know, he hit me with 2 sticks of morphine. And I knew he had more. And so
don't hold back. Hey,
all
remind
I
us.
is that I was in a lot of pain and he had remedies and he was not giving it to me. So I was not happy about it because I was in a lot of pain. And I didn't understand that if he gave me too much, the muscles around my lungs could relax so much that I could actually suffocate. Did not know that, did not care. But, you know, Doc was doing what Doc was best at, and he was trying to get me stable enough for the Black Hawk to take me out, which took 42 minutes for the Black Hawk to come and get me. And the reason it took so long is because the standard operating procedure at the time was they could not send a medevac into a hot landing zone without fighter escorts. And in 2004, as some of you remember, I mean, that was a busy time in Iraq. There was a lot of fighting going on. Mm-hmm. And so all the fighters were dispatched. We didn't have any. And so finally, the pilot that came and got me was actually a Texas Army National Guard pilot, and heard from either my platoon commander or my platoon sergeant that I was urgently approaching Category 5, which is expectant, and I was already at Category 4, which is urgent surgery. And so the longer it went on, this pilot was listening to the transaction. He was back at base listening to this with battalion, and he finally got his crew and said, you know, damn the rules, we're going to get this Marine. And he came in and got me.
Hell yeah.
And the guys, I remember yelling a lot, why don't I hear rotors? I was not happy that the bird wasn't there yet. And because I was just thinking, you know, y'all have one freaking job. We have one job. But obviously I didn't know all of the goings on at the time, and nor did I give a shit. But you know, I was real thankful for this time that it took as long as it did, though, because I got to talk to all the guys and all my brothers and tell them how much they mean to me and how much I love them, and that, you know, this is the real thing. You know, we're in war, and this is what they want to do. You know, so take a good look at me because this is what it is. So continue to fight and fight hard. And so, I mean, that was I'm thankful for that time because that was, you know, there was a lot of soul feeding going on at the moment. But the bird finally came in and landed, and you know, when I was face down on the deck right when I got hit, I remember telling God, you know, just please don't take me in front of my brothers, but as soon as those skids leave the deck, I'm all yours. Just don't let my bros watch me die. And so the bird takes off, and I was able to get the attention of one of the litter crew, and he came up to me and put his ear next to my mouth, and I yelled, "How long?" And I knew I was dying because when I yelled that, I mean, I felt life leaving my body. I mean, I knew that I was dying. And he ran up front to the captain and came back and he yelled in my ear and he said 12 mics or 12 minutes. And so I talked to God again and I said, hey, big man, about that original verbal agreement, I'm going to have to renege on that because I'm pretty sure I can do 12 more minutes. And obviously he granted me that because I'm talking to y'all. But they flew me into Balad and started working on me right away. I mean, before I was even in the tent in Balad, they were trying to reset my left leg and my arm, and both of which were pissing me off. And, you know, they kept asking me name, rank, social, name, rank, social, name, rank, social. And I was just sick of talking because everything hurt. It was like slamming your finger in the door and then someone saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then every time you say it, the pain just goes up. So let's just get this out of the way right now. I was never a good patient the entire time I was in the hospital. And that all started that day. Little did I know I was not the model patient. But
I think you have a little bit of an excuse.
yeah, not the military though. But,
yeah, but still.
It was the doc that was there. One of the docs I remember sewing up my face because I had some shrapnel wounds in my face and my neck. And I remember he was sewing up the side of my face and he said, "Oops. I shit you not." And I looked over and I was like, "What do you mean, oops, doc?" I said, "Sorry, Marine. I dicked up on your stitches. You're going to have to start again." And at this time, I had a sheet all the way up to my neck. And I said, "Hey, doc, I don't know if you've seen my body from the neck down, but I'm pretty sure that my face is the least of our worries." And he had the anesthesiologist knock me out at that moment, which I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing probably. But that's when they took me into the OR and they washed me out and started to try and attempt the process of robbing from Peter and giving to Paul to put my body back together. And I remember Nurse Jax was the one that woke me up, and she was awesome. I'll never forget her. And when I woke up and she looked at me and she said, "Hey, Marine, I hate to tell you this, but we had to take your right foot." And I just thought, my right foot, and I was pondering that. And then I just said audibly, "Well, you took the wrong damn foot." Because if you remember, I told you my right foot, my right leg looked completely normal, it just hurt. My left leg was the one that was mangled, and so I was just thinking, oh, sweet, a long day just got longer. They took the wrong foot. I guess it's good enough for government work. But she explained to me shortly thereafter that my right foot was dead when I got the blood. And she described it as just putting sand in a surgical glove. That's pretty much what my right foot was. And
oh, wow.
What had happened is the firewall folded up on my right foot and crushed my foot from the explosion before I got blown out. And so there was no saving it. There was nothing they could have done.
I've pulled a lady out of a car and her entire body was like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
It's I can't imagine an entire body being like that, but
it was kind of freaky.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Well,
that's a sobering moment. But they flew me from Balad to Germany. I was only in Germany 17 hours and left Germany, came back to the States. Actually, the first hospital I went to was Bethesda National Naval Hospital is what it was called at the time. I believe now it's Walter Reed at Bethesda. And that's where I saw my blood family for the first time. And, that was a tough experience because I knew how badly I was hurt. I knew I wasn't out of the woods yet. And my dad, when they opened up the doors, my dad put his hand on my chest and he said, "Hey, Bubba, is that you?" Because my face was swollen and all black and blue, and I'm pretty sure I smelled amazing because I hadn't showered in a few weeks. And all I could muster was, "Get your damn hands off me," because it hurt because all my ribs were broken. So I looked at the rest of my family and was like, "Yeah, that's Jake." But they pulled me out and they got me on the gurney and were rolling me into the elevator. And I remember this young sailor that was pushing me. You know the grout that separates tiles.
Yeah.
Well, every time the gurney would hit one of those, it would feel literally like I was getting blown up all over again. Every little minor movement was excruciating.
Man.
And so we went to go get on the elevator to go down to ICU. Then there's that big gap. And he hit it going onto the elevator, obviously unintentionally and not knowing that every time he did this, I was getting more and more pissed off. And he got me onto the elevator, and I actually knife-handed with my right arm because it was one hurt my right hand. And I said, "If you do that again, I'm going to take you out." And my dad looked at my family and goes, "He's going to be okay. He's going to make it." and they got me down to ICU, and they immediately got me in a room and started prepping me for the OR. So I was in the operating room every 48 to 72 hours for the first 2 months I was home. And this good-looking blonde walked in, and I just thought, are you freaking kidding me right now? I know there's some dudes that are interns in the Navy that need the same training and experience. Why the hell am I the only one that's going to get the one good-looking freaking intern that's working right now? And so that pissed me off. And so I just reverted to my training, and I just thought, I'm just going to bulldog her, and that way she'll get out of my room quickly. And little did I know, it was her first night of her first trauma rotation as an intern in the Navy, and nor did I care. But she started to work on me, and I'm just bulldogging the piss out of her. And so she's like extremely nervous, shaking. She wasn't in there more than 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. She, just gets emotional. She's tearing up. She walks out of the room. She grabs the chart and smacks it on this other intern's chest because I can see him through the ICU window of my room. And verbatim, she says, "He's all yours. I'll never go in that asshole's room ever again." And that's the woman I've been married to for 12 years. And we had 2 sons together. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I was just thinking, please tell me you married that woman.
Well, Razor, it gets better because didn't she, you overheard some attending physician talking about, okay, should we take his ring finger off or leave it? And you overheard him talking about removing your ring finger, and you were like, oh, hell no. So, you better leave it on because I'm going to marry a woman.
Yeah, Dr. Vance. I'll never forget that. That was before I had an operation scheduled where he was going to be working on my left arm and another orthopod was going to be working on my left leg. And it was going to be a long operation. We knew that. And he said, I really think we should amputate your 4th digit, which is your ring finger on my left hand, because it's not going to be any use to you. Your metacarpal was blown out in the explosion. And I looked at him and I said, hey, Doc, if I wake up from this operation and there's anything else missing from my body, I'm going to choke you out. And so he immediately looked at my dad. My dad looked at him and said, I think he means don't do it. So obviously he left it. And when I went to go leave Bethesda, because I was actually the first Marine to be sent to BAMC, which is now SAMC or whatever the hell they call it now in San Antonio, and I was actually the first Marine in post 9/11 conflict to be sent to an Army facility, and which I like to say accounts for 50% of my post-traumatic stress because I was the only Marine in an Army facility. Sorry, I'm not sorry. But before I left, my dad came in the room and said, hey son, I know we're getting ready to move you to San Antonio, but I think that we should go apologize to everybody that's worked on you. I was like, oh yeah, that's fair, got it. And we did, and it took forever. But started with ICU, worked all the way up, and when we got back up to my floor, and we're going to my room, we saw Doc Young, now my wife, walk in with her chart. And this was probably, it's probably, we'll say 6 o'clock in the evening. And they get there, man, they work those interns really hard. They get there like 4:30 in the morning and start rounding at 5 a.m. It's crazy how hard they work them. And, but she threw the chart right in front of her face, like as if she didn't see me. So we walk by her, my dad's walking, he's pushing me in my bed. And I looked up and I said, hey, Doc. And she pulled the chart down and looked at me and she goes, good evening, Corporal Schick. How may I help you? And I was like, okay, she's not a fan, I get it. And I just told her, when you're done rounding, if you just stop by my room, I'd like to say something to you. It won't take more than 2 minutes of your time, literally. And she said, all right, I'll come by later. And I looked at my dad when he pushed me in our room and said, what do you think the odds are her coming by are? And my dad said, you're never going to see her again. So she came in my room around, it was like 10:30 or 11 at night. It speaks volumes to her professionalism because I know she was exhausted. And she says, I'm here, Corporal Schick, what do you need? And I said, all I wanted to tell you was that, I know I've been hard on you and I haven't been a joy to be around. It has nothing to do with you. I'm sure you're going to go on to be a great physician in life. I wasn't trained how to be a severely wounded Marine. And so I still don't know how to handle my situation. And my guys are still at war and in harm's way, and there's no damn thing I can do about it. I'm stuck sucking up good oxygen in a hospital bed. And so just wanted to let you know, nothing personal, and I apologize. And then she comes back with, what happened to you? And interesting, because this is about 3 months into it, and no one had asked me what had happened, really wanting to know the details and how everything led up to that moment. So I tell her this entire story. This is it was 2-3 hours. And she's listening with bated breath, and when I finish, I say, you can ask me one question, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And she says, why didn't you let Dr. Vance amputate your 4th digit? And so right away, I was offended, because after this epic story, she wanted to know I wouldn't let a dude chop my finger off. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now. And so, but I checked myself, and I was like, okay, well, that's her question, and I'll answer it. And I told her, I said, I didn't let him amputate this finger because one day I'm going to find a woman that loves me just the way I am, and then I'm going to proudly wear a ring on that finger, and then that finger will have meaning, and that finger will serve a purpose. And so I think I got her hook, line, and sinker with that one.
Did.
I've heard you mention. Go ahead.
Your story is just like bestseller chick flick.
Yeah,
right.
I've been told.
Yeah, some asshole's fucking chopping onions over here.
All good.
I've heard that before. You tell that before, but it's just enjoyable each time. Razor, I want to move on to this is something I've always found fascinating. I've always enjoyed your humor. I do think there's something to humor, getting people through challenging times. You had about 2 years of rehab, included about 46 operations, 23 blood transfusions. What role did humor have in getting you through all that? Because I think you're hilarious. Too bad we don't have video, but your facial expressions are icing on the cake. But tell us about humor.
It plays a huge role. I think that it's something that if you can't laugh, especially at yourself, you're just going to be a miserable piece of shit. It is. And it played a massive role, man. The entire thing was, it was just so daunting, and, really things got real dark when I got lost as an addict. Because when I got out of the hospital in San Antonio, I was a straight up addict. It wasn't anybody's fault, just the way it worked out. And I don't remember a whole lot of humor during that time, but to be fair, I don't remember a whole lot of that time because I was chasing my first high. But, humor plays a huge role, man, because if you can laugh and you can find joy in things, and at the end of the day, I think we would all agree that you don't learn and grow in life when everything's rainbows, roses, and lollipops. We learn and grow, and we harness valuable experience through trials and tribulations.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we have to be miserable assholes the whole time either. We have to find humor in everything we do, because if we don't, it's almost like the saying in regards to cancer, that if the cancer doesn't kill you, the treatment will. You have to find humor in everything, because life's too short just to be miserable and pissed off all the time. Because like
that was like the creed of the Marine.
Yeah. I mean, listen, some of the most hilarious experiences I've had in my life were in war. I mean, you find yourself cracking up so hard that you can't even manipulate your weapon because you're laughing so hard. And some people are like, how is that even, what the hell? And they think you're crazy. It's like, you can't explain it. You have to experience it. Right. But it's just one of those things where it just lightens the soul. Anytime you can laugh and cut up with your family and your friends, it just lightens your soul, lightens the mood, lifts the air in the room, and I think everybody gets a little bit lighter in a very dark situation, and it really helps heal the soul. And like I say all the time, I mean, listen, we have one shot at this thing called life on the spinning ball of chaos. You better make it count. And so, yeah, you're going to have your bad days. I still have mine. And you know what? We're all entitled to a bad day. It's not always going to be rainbows, unicorns riding on rainbows. It's just not the way it is. Life's supposed to be hard. Anything worth doing should be.
Right.
But we still got to find joy and humor in everything that we do, too. And so I really I try hard to do that, especially when it's appropriate and sometimes when it's not appropriate. But, you're right, Ox. It's something that I try and do often because, again, life's too short to take it seriously. I mean, we're here literally for a nanosecond and we're gone. I mean, you have your born on date on your tombstone and your departure date, and in the middle you have your dash. And I just want to do my dash well because that's my legacy.
There you go.
And I want my sons, when they're standing over my grave, to look at each other and go, well, shit, the old man didn't leave it easy.
So, hey,
I mean, that's my goal. Yeah.
I've seen that when a lot of guys lose their humor, that's when things kind of get, like you said, it gets really dark. And both in the military and in law enforcement, I've had a couple buddies that, I've lost to themselves. They either, blow their brains out or, jump off a cliff, whatever. So, yeah. Ox tells me you're with, what's the name of the program? Is it 22 Kills?
22 Kills. Yeah.
Yeah, so that a little bit?
Yeah, 22 Kill originated as a movement, and that was after a study came out from the VA in 2012 that stated that 22 veterans on average were dying by suicide every day. And this is something that has always been very close to me, and I mean, Ox knows this before 22 Kill was ever even a thing. I mean, that's something that really affected me personally multiple times. I've lost a lot of friends to suicide, both in the military and in the civilian sector. And it was something that, listen, during my darkest times as an addict, I had suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies, and so it's something that really hits home with me, and it hits a very personal note with me, and something I've been very passionate about and adamant about fighting since the first phone call I got, which was a fellow Marine from my unit that had died by suicide shortly after my unit got home. And so that's where the name 22 Kill came from. Is it's supposed to get your attention, just like AIDS and cancer. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to get your attention to spark conversation, because without awareness, you don't have shit. Everything starts with awareness. People say knowledge is power. No, it's not. Knowledge is power only if you're willing to share it. Then it becomes powerful. And so, absolutely, the push-up. It's funny because last year the 22 push-up challenge really went viral. But what a lot of people don't know is that thing started in 2013. It went viral last year. So also goes to show you there's really no such thing as overnight success. But it that took off and it garnered a lot of awareness for us, and we're very thankful for that. But we also know that we have to take it a lot further than that. I mean, and still to this day, our first and foremost goal is going to be to raise awareness, because I could still line up 100 people and I would be shocked if 5 of them knew the statistic, which now the government says is about 20 a day.
I trust it. Whatever they say.
Yeah, right. They're so good at everything else. But what a lot of people don't understand or don't know, rather, is that every 18 hours, a law enforcement officer dies by suicide. Every 8 hours, a firefighter, paramedic, EMT takes his or her own life. And so
I was just about to ask if you talk about those as well.
Yeah, and so I actually I went on Fox News this year and announced that we were gonna start offering everything that we offer to veterans and their families to first responders and their families, because
Oh, wow.
at the end of the day, over 60%, or over, I believe it's 65% of first responders are prior service military anyhow. And also, in the same breath, I'd like to add that, listen, service is service is service. These men and women go and do gnarly things on a daily basis, whereas people from my community, my walk of life, really, we go do a 6, 7, 12, 15-month deployment, come home, and we have downtime, even though we're still doing training. These men and women serve on a daily basis, and they risk their lives on me and my family and our family's behalf every day. I mean, if that's not service, I don't know what the hell is. And so I'm very thankful to them. And I know my family and my friends and everybody that I hold close to in my tribe are very thankful for all service personnel. And that's why we're going to let them, include them in our tribe, and let them know that, hey, listen, we got your back. You don't have to fight this alone. And fight in this being anything mental health related, because we have to really crush the stigma that comes with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, because those are the two diagnoses that I fought forever to accept that I actually had those. And it wasn't until I got clean where I was like, oh shit, these are real things. They're very real things that will kill me if I let them.
So
what
does that mean when you say help people? So you bring awareness to the suicide issue, but what is there a service that you guys provide? Like how does this organization help?
we have multiple programs at 22 Kill. And in 2017 has really been a rebuilding year where we've rebuilt the foundation and we've integrated a lot of these programs, and that goes straight in line with fighting post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, and fighting the stigma that both of those come with. And because at the end of the day, listen, suicide epidemic in the service community is a very real thing. And nothing's going to be done about it unless we can first talk about it. And anything mental health related, as you all know, it's a very uncomfortable subject for mere mortals to talk about, because we all live in the freaking Hollywood world where, well, let's just talk about it if it's comfortable to talk about. When at the end of the day, most of the shit we talk about is not going to matter 100 years from now. Whereas if we can talk about real life issues like the suicide epidemic in the service community, I mean, this would be something that can change the lives of our children and our grandchildren. And so that's why we take the awareness piece so seriously. As far as the program is concerned, right now we offer multiple programs, one being Camp Valhalla, which is a program where we can take warriors and first responders and their families out. We can take them to the range, take them shooting, we actually do helicopter hog hunts, and if they don't want to kill something from the helicopter, they can shoot targets from the helicopter. Because
wait, who doesn't want to kill something from a helicopter?
Yeah,
right. I've seen the pictures.
I completely agree, because until you've experienced trigger therapy, you're missing out. I mean, there's a lot to be said for true happiness is found in a belt-fed weapon.
Yep.
But it's that's one of the programs we have where they can. Sometimes it's a day retreat, sometimes it's a weekend retreat where we'll have fireside chats, and we also provide counselors on those trips. And we do that through our program called Stay the Course, where it's one-on-one counseling. We have a counselor at the 22 Fuel headquarters in Dallas who shows up every day. He's actually there more than anyone else. I mean, that guy comes in on the weekends to meet with first responders and veterans and their families, and puts in a lot of hours. We're about to replicate that in a couple different states, as well as
just gonna ask.
Yeah, we're growing, and it's a good thing. It is a nerve-wracking good thing, but because of the almighty dollar is really what it comes down to, with like everything else. But
Yep.
we are growing, and we're going to be offering this stuff in Massachusetts and Maryland, pretty soon in Pennsylvania. We're looking at Ohio and California, and our whole goal is to grow big enough to where in every major city we can offer all these programs. And that way, these men and women who've given so much of themselves can have an outlet and some services that can really better their quality of life and their family's quality of life. Because we're very, very, very big on including the family as well. Because as we all know, without a strong family unit, you're very susceptible to self-medicating and falling back into your bad habits. And so we definitely want to avoid that. And I'm speaking from experience on that one.
So how can we help with that?
At the end of the day, man, we all as American citizens and beyond have three things of value. Every one of us, we all have time, we all have talent, and we all have treasure. Now, all three of those things vary with every individual, but if you're not willing to give up some of one of those things, then you can't help. Flat out. That's the blunt truth, is that if you're not willing to sacrifice something that you have of value, then you just want to be on a bandwagon. I don't want anyone on a bandwagon. I want anyone who's willing to sacrifice something that they have of value to be in this tribe and join the 22 Kill tribe and this movement to end the suicide epidemic. Because unless you're willing to sacrifice something, you cannot help someone else. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got some ideas already in my head, moving around ideas how we can get involved and help.
Yep,
yeah,
me too.
And so that those three things, time, talent, and treasure, we all have. I know that's a broad answer, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of different ways to help nonprofits such as 22 Kill. And I tell people all the time, if you don't want to help 22 Kill, I get it. But if you want to help and serve and do something, first of all, you don't have to wear a uniform to be of service to this nation. If you want to put your time in, go find a nonprofit that does something that you are passionate about. Because everyone should do something they're passionate about a little bit every day. Because that's what truly feeds your soul.
That's right.
And for example, another program that we're ramping up in 2018 is going to be our Gold Star Families program. Our White Star Family program, rather. We all know about the Gold Star families. Those are family members who have lost a loved one who's been killed in action. Well, as it stands now, unfortunately, the White Star families don't have a seat at the Gold Star families table. They're not recognized. And so we're going to create that seat for them, because they're welcome at our table anytime. And we'll take anyone. We're not turning anybody away for any reason. At the end of the day, the reasoning behind that is that those little kids don't give a shit how their mom or dad died. They just know they don't have a mom or dad.
That's right.
And that, to me, is something that we have to really focus on. Is we have to honor all those who serve, no matter how they left this earth. Because just like my wife told me many years ago, before I got sober, or before I got clean, she said, Jake, the difference between you living the way you're living right now or eating a bullet is time, but the outcome's going to be the same. You owe it to your brothers that didn't come home and those that did and still love and respect you to not only live, but live well. Because that's the only way you can truly honor them.
That's right.
Right. She's right. And so that's why we all have to live well. And I say, at the ripe old age of 35, I know three things to be absolutes. One, that this life is absolutely worth living no matter how hard it gets.
Yep.
We get one shot. Two, what makes life beautiful is that we don't have to live it alone. We have friends and family that we get to share in our experiences with, both good and bad. And that's what makes life beautiful, is that we get to share it with others.
Yep.
And three, it doesn't have a damn thing to do with me or you. It has to do with all those around us and how we can feed their souls a little bit every day, which in turn feeds our souls. Because the whole point behind this life is to love and be loved, period.
Yep.
That's it.
I love it.
Deep thoughts. Razor, one thing I want to plug that I just kind of noticed on the 22 Kill website is you all are doing a raffle for this sweet ride. It's a Rad Ride Ford F-150. We're going to have the website link in the show notes, but this thing is one of the most wicked looking trucks I've seen. And you guys are doing a raffle to win this truck. It is so sweet. I'm drooling on my laptop.
Yeah. It's a sweet truck, man. We definitely are stoked about our partnership with Rad Rides and Prestige Ford out of Garland. It's a huge partnership that we really value, and something that's been really, really awesome for us to be able to say that we've landed. They're a great, great, great company. Ford in general, just a great company, does a lot of giving back. Prestige Ford in particular, and Rad Rides, they can obviously, they know their way around the vehicle, because that F-150 is sick. It's
oh my God,
it's tricked out. And just for those people that don't know, when you go click on the link to go check it out, the raffle tickets are $50 a piece, and the drawing is going to be in May for the winner. All you have to do is pay tax, title, and license, which, $3 or $4 grand for an $88,000 truck, to me is a deal. Unfortunately, I can't win it. But I've driven it. It's a sweet ride, man, and it's a sick truck. It's actually not it's a Kevlar paint job.
Oh, I was wondering if that was Line-X.
No, it's actually a Kevlar paint job. It's something that's new that they've just come out with, and it's on that truck.
Oh, beautiful. Well, again, we're going to have that in the show notes. I encourage everyone to get a raffle ticket.
Hey, Jake, if I win, I'll let you drive it.
I appreciate it, man. But I actually have just recently gotten an F-250 from them. That's pretty sick too, for my own personal vehicle. So, I love the F-150. It's a sweet truck. It's definitely will be worth having. And I mean, look, right now it's only got like 10,000 miles on it. So we haven't even driven it hard. We've driven it mainly around Dallas and drove it up to Raleigh in the Valley up in Maryland and back. And that's where most of the mileage has come from. So it probably will maybe we'll have, 18,000 miles on it by the time the drawing kicks off in May. So it's a sweet rig, man. Whoever wins it's going to be very, very, very happy with it.
Awesome.
Well, we're kind of super fast approaching 2018. We're late December 29th, 2017 now. To kind of wrap things up, man, it's been awesome. It's always awesome listening to you. Do you, any final thoughts as we're kind of approaching the new year? Any big projects, anything you want to kind of mention or share with us, kind of as we're wrapping up 2017, as we're wrapping up this interview?
Well, as far as personally goes, there's some fun things happening in my life personally, but I may or may not be on the big screen again in 2018.
Oh, sweet.
Are you getting your chick flick made?
No, well, even if I were, I couldn't talk about it. So I'll leave you to ponder that. But it's there's a lot of good things happening, man. Especially with 22 Kill and what we're doing over there. Listen, I tell the guys, and by guys I mean men and women, that every day you just show up with a clear mind, a full heart and a hungry soul and do the right things for the right reasons, the rest is going to take care of itself. You know, because we work in a pretty morbid industry, and it's hard for us to deal with some of the things we deal with sometimes. And so that's why I'm so proud and honored to be a part of this tribe, and so blessed to be able to show up and work with people at the end of the day that are just better than me, that by default make me better every day. And I'm just stoked to be a small part of that. And you know, we're doing big things, and we're going to move this mountain, even if it's only a pebble at a time. But we need anyone and everyone's help who wants to come join this tribe and be a part of this movement to make history. We're going to get it done, and it's going to be a big year for 22 Kill. I really, truly feel that in my soul. And I just want to thank all of our supporters out there and everyone that follows us and really helps move this mission forward on a daily basis. Without everyone out there that helps us even a little bit, we can't do it without you. And so I want to humbly thank them and say, you know, strap in for 2018. It's going to be a hell of a ride, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, we hope to have you on again soon. If you have any new stuff you want to talk about in 2018, man, we'd love to have you back on and chat about that, or chat about anything, man. Just shoot the breeze, whatever.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to the guys about it, but I'm sure they'll agree with me. Anything that we can do to help, just let us know, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, listen, I appreciate y'all, and hope you and yours and everyone that listens to your podcast had a Merry Christmas, and has an abundantly blessed 2018. You know, don't only live, just live well, because that's what we all owe everyone who's come before us and everyone's going to come after us. Is, our whole point is to leave this spinning ball of shit better than we found it.
Absolutely. That's my lifelong goal.
Well, let's on that note, let's kind of put a bow on it, guys. If you audience, if you can't tell, Razor has a huge heart. We really appreciate him coming on the show and carving an hour or so out of his evening, Friday evening, to kind of join us and shoot the breeze and share his story and share the efforts of 22 Kills. So thanks again, Razor. We hope you have an awesome new year. Be safe, and hope to have you on again, man.
Thanks, Razor.
Hey,
thanks, Razor.
Appreciate you, brothers. You guys have a great 2018, and stay hard, stay motivated, stay in the fight. If there's anything I can do for y'all, Ox, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yes, sir. Take care, brother.
All right, brothers.
Later.
Good night.